So who all have attended that session? You can raise your hand. There were 4 speakers that day. Okay, no problem. So half of the participants are new. So I can get the privilege to give the introduction. So yeah, so we have Udayanand Prabhu. Uh, Udayanand Prabhu is a senior manager at Microsoft, and he is an ex. He was also working before for Broadridge Financial Solutions, Deloitte, and Oracle. So Prabhuji is very expert in data science and machine learning. He also holds All India rank 11 in the GATE exam. So he got a 99.83 percentile in GATE exam. Yeah, so Prabhuji has a wide experience of more than 15 years working in software engineering and consultancy. He has managed projects which have volume of 80,000 hours. And he also led in Oracle Fusion application, which was conducted across the globe. He has done publications about in 2005 on kinetic model for granular flows. And he has completed his post graduation from Indian Institute of Science, and he also received Abuja's Young Researcher Award in year 2005. So he has an interest of music. He loves to teach physics. He loves to develop algorithms and play badminton. So this is a side of his own personal life. Apart from that, he he teaches Bhagavad Gita to people in general. He conducts SSR classes. SSR means Science of Self-Realization classes. Is a 12-session course, and he regularly gives these sessions. And he spends his good amount of time in the weekend giving out for people's welfare and reaching out Bhagavad Gita to people. So, we are very fortunate to have somebody who has balanced his material life and spiritual life. He gives importance to his company, family life, at the same time his own personal spiritual life. So we'd like to welcome Udayanand Prabhu to this session by loudly chanting 3 times, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So I request participants to come a little forward so that we can have some space for those who come after you. Okay. So anybody has any questions from the sessions? Please write down during the session, and you can ask Prabhuji at the end of the session. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible to everyone? How many of us did not see me before in the previous session? I think it's very few. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay. And thank you very much for coming to this session on this Saturday. So it's very, very difficult to get time on Saturday evenings. So what we will do is we will, before starting, we'll do 2 minutes of Sloka Recitation. And I'm very sorry. I think I'm little late because of the traffic. I was kind of stuck in a traffic, and then I tried to take all different routes, but that didn't work. And sorry about that. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha Namo Brahmanye Devaya Go Brahmana Hidaya Cha Jagaditaya Cha Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you again. So how we are going to make the session is during the session, if you have any questions, if you can hold it till the end. Otherwise, what you can do is you can ask the question. That's definitely not a problem, right? And we should make this session more interactive, because this is a kind of session where it is more practical than theoretical, right? So if you have any questions, if there is something that is very intense and related to the topic, let's discuss then and there. Otherwise, if you can wait till the end, if you can hold the question till the end, we will do it at the end. So what I'm going to do is I will probably spend 40-45 minutes on this discussion. Then last 10-15 minutes we can spend for questions. And as you can see, this topic is tolerating provoking situations, right? So when you say the word toleration, what does come into your mind? I contemplated on it a lot, and then, after so much of contemplation, I could not get any better picture than a tree. So I have put this, right? Tree and a cow, they are the symbols of tolerance, right? But usually, before giving this session, when I was discussing this with one of my friend, I asked him, what do you think is an example of the tolerance? What do you think is the best example of a tolerance? He said, it's me. I asked why. He's a married person. He said, I'm married. Who else can be a better tolerant person than a married man? Right? Yeah. So, but on the other hand, the first thing that comes to my mind is a tree. When I was a small kid, I think I just finished my 10th grade. And then I went to my maternal parents' house, like maternal grandmother's house. And they had the kind of, just beside their house. In fact, that house is in the mango tree form itself, right? So what we used to do is, and that's summer vacations, right? In the afternoon, there's nice, they say Nolaka Mancham. I don't know how many of you understand. Nolaka Mancham, which is like, it's a wooden cot, and then there are ropes tied to it, and then you sleep on that. And it's like very good question. It's not like this, these fancy beds. I mean, these fancy beds cannot give you the kind of comfort that gives, right? You don't get backache. You don't face any kind of, pains after getting up. It feels very fresh if you sleep on that bed. It's called Nolaka Mancham in Telugu, right? It's a cot made up of ropes. So we used to sleep on that after lunch, afternoon time. It's summer vacation, so no tensions, no assignments, nothing to think back, right? Tomorrow morning there is no school, so you don't have to worry much about the assignments and things like that, right? So me and my uncle used to sleep on that, and then we used to throw stones on the tree. And during throwing that stones, we have to be very careful, because there is Thotamali, the gardener, who might come and catch us, which is going to be very big risk. So we used to throw. I mean, my uncle started throwing the stone, but I was kind of little patient in the beginning. Then he said, okay, why don't you also throw a stone? I also started throwing stone. First stone I threw, mangoes didn't come down. They didn't fall down. Second stone, third stone, fourth stone. Then I brought so many stones and started, then that made a lot of noise, and then the gardener came, and my uncle and myself have to really run. When I was thinking about this tolerance, I kind of related to the topic, right? We were throwing so many stones, but the tree doesn't say anything. And despite of that, we were sleeping under that tree. Did that tree came back, and did the tree come back and said that, get out of this place? No, it didn't say that. So tree is one of the biggest, example that we can say for tolerance. And how we are going to make this session is we'll discuss about what is tolerance and what are provoking situations, and then we can try to understand why it is so important to be being tolerant in provoking situations, and what are the bad effects if you are intolerant, and what are the good effects if you are tolerant. After discussing this, we will come to a conclusion where it says, being tolerant is a very big trait in case of provoking situations. And after that, we so by then we would come to a conclusion where we say that being tolerant is a very good thing in case of provocations. Then we will try to understand how to be tolerant, right? So we are going to discuss about what is tolerance, what are provoking situations, what are the bad effects of not being intolerant in situations of provocation, and what are the benefits of being tolerant in case of provoking situations. Then we'll try to understand how to be tolerant in case of provoking situations. This is the agenda, right? Is that fine with everyone? Okay. So what is provocation? Anyone has idea what is provocation? Sorry? Yeah, instigation. Right. Any other meanings of provocation? Poking. So how many of us know how many of us watch cricket? It's not just cricket, even football, volleyball, or any other games, right? So there is something called sledging, right? So sledging is a kind of provocation. What is sledging actually? What they do is they come very close. I mean, the opponents come close to you and then try to sledge, saying that they will try to poke you, irritate you, aggravate you, and that way finally you become so aggravated, and then you lose out of your mind, and then that losing out of your mind can actually take you to two paths: win and lose. And most of the times the probability of being losing is greater than winning. Why? Your mind goes out of your control, right? So that this is a kind of provocation or sledging, right? So I remember one situation, right, when I was a small kid again. At that time, this guy, Robin Singh was playing. Anyone knows Robin Singh? Robin Singh was like a very great cricketer, right? But at the same time, he is a hot-headed man. You trigger him, either it will be a wonder or it will be a blunder, right? He can create both in case of provocation. So Robin Singh in one situation during sledging, Robin Singh got out of his mind, and then we lost that game. And has anyone seen Sachin Tendulkar? How many of us are fans of Sachin Tendulkar? Despite of how much you sledge him, he's not going to go out of his mind. And that is why he has creeped really, really good targets, right? So that is we will discuss about what are the bad results of provocation. But before that, let's try to understand what is tolerance. So we just discussed, right? So tolerance means being very, very, very patient, not getting irritated, aggravated, or disappointed, or distracted. That is called tolerance, right? Tree is one of the example. And then if Mother Teresa, she had, despite of she being from other country, she had undergone lot of what do you call provocations, difficult situations, criticisms for that matter. And still she was persistent and being tolerant and patient. And she had gotten so many awards in India, despite of not being an Indian. Just that it's her persistence, being very capable of being tolerant in provoking situations, right? So Radheshyam Prabhuji gives nice example in this scenario, right? So once in a temple, like, the prasadam is almost yet to the point of completion. So today we will try to make sure that we are early to prasadam, okay? We will not wait till, so I'll try to finish it little early so that, we won't miss the prasadam, right? So once, I was listening to one of the lectures from Radheshyam Prabhuji. He was giving an example where only one cup of prasad is left. That's a bendi sabji that day, right? Few people like bendi sabji, few people do not. I love bendi sabji, right? There is only one cup of bendi sabji is left, and one devotee came. He was the last devotee, but only one cup of bendi sabji left. So the other devotee who was serving, he actually tried to pull all the prasadam, that one cup of prasadam, and put on the plate. Still there is something left, right? So what he did is he toppled the bucket. That's what we do, right? If we want to clear off everything, we just topple the bucket and then clear off everything and then put it on the plate, right? So he toppled the bucket. Then he was nicely eating it. At least that one cup of prasadam is left, right? So he was nicely eating. Another devotee came and he said that, "Arey Prabhu, there was half bucket of prasadam and looks like you toppled it on your plate. Had you finished it?" Then the other devotee who is actually taking that prasadam, he said that, "Nahi, pura bucket tha." The bucket was full and it was toppled on my plate. So who do you think has provoked in this situation? The devotee who is honoring the prasadam, or the other devotee who made a comment that there was half bucket of prasadam? Huh? The one who is honoring prasadam? Yeah, right. Haribol. Yeah, both of them. See, first provocation was by the devotee who said that there was half bucket of prasadam. It's kind of sarcasm, right? Provocation is nothing but a kind of sarcasm to actually pierce the heart, right? So if you come and slap someone, they won't get hurt. If you directly abuse, they won't get hurt. They might get hurt to a certain extent. But if you make sarcasm, it pierces the heart. That's why, in Kali Yuga, we see many people trying to be sarcastic, trying to provoke, trying to sledge, right? That really pierces the heart. So if your goal is to pierce someone's heart, this is what you should do, right? So let's not do that. So, provocation is a very bad thing, right? So now we understood what is tolerance and what is provocation. Now, I have one more example of Srila Haridas Thakur. How many of us know Haridas Thakur? Haribol. Okay. For those people who are not acquainted about Haridas Thakur's pastimes, Haridas Thakur is a great Vaishnava. He's called Namacharya. How many of us chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra? How many of us know that okay, let me put this question. How many of us know that how many rounds Srila Haridas Thakur does? Don't say the rounds. I just want to know how many of us know. Sorry? Don't tell the count. Okay. Any guesses? Any guesses? No, I need the rounds. Like if you say 3 lakhs, it's gonna be difficult to count. I have to take a calculator out. So how many malas he used to do? 192 malas he used to do, right? To do 16 rounds, it usually takes 2 hours. Even if you do it very high speed, it may take 1.5 hours. So 192 malas means it takes, it takes at least 20 hours, not 20 hours, probably 16 hours. So he used to spend most of his time in chanting itself, right? And he has been provoked in many different ways. See, the provocation need not be direct. It could be indirect also, right? So there used to be a lady, Hira, right? She is a prostitute being sent by those days Nawabs to actually kind of a provocation. Like they wanted Haridas Thakur to go out of his goalpost. They wanted him to stop chanting. So there are a lot of provocations he used to get. Not only in terms of this prostitute, he even was beaten in 12 marketplaces. Right? So provocation, criticism, whatnot. But he being so tolerant, finally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, has hugged him. So if this is the right example in Vaishnava Sampradaya itself. So he has been so tolerant, and he finally has been hugged by Lord Krishna himself. Can there be any better benediction than that? Getting a hug by Krishna? Right? So yeah, we will again anyway further discuss on the advantages and disadvantages of provocation. So what I will do is, why we need to be tolerant? So let me put it this way. So most of us are either studying or doing job, and we have some goals, right? Has anyone used the expansion glass to burn paper? Anyone did that? Yeah. So I don't know how many of you have done that. Probably nowadays you hardly find sun because we live in apartments. But if you go on to terrace, you take that glass. It's called concave glass, right? So if it is concave, using that you can actually see things which are very far. Those are called concave glasses. So when you take a concave glass and sit under the sun, and then you move it a little closer and away from the earth, you will find one point where the light is like concentrated, and then the heat generated is too much. It can actually burn the paper. Dry paper it can burn, right? So that is the power of focus and concentration. Agree? Disagree? Right? Now, on the other hand, if you just, and when you can try this experiment. When you're trying to burn the paper, the concentration and focus has to be so much, your hand should not shiver. It has to be very focused. Agree? Even if it is shivering little bit, the paper doesn't burn. You have to be like, in my childhood, I used to stand like that. You see that Gandhi statue, right? Wearing specs, he doesn't move in the hot sun. Like that, you have to be literally like that statue and then hold it so that the paper gets burnt. That's an experiment every one of us can do. Now, even with a little bit, shaky hand, that paper doesn't burn. So focus can actually burn things. That we have experienced even during our educations, right? What is the importance of focus? Depending on your focus, your results would come. I'm not talking about the lottery results. I'm not talking about COVID batches. You really need focus. I know. I mean, many of us have started calling COVID batches. Anyone who is actually graduating in these 2 years, we are called COVID batches. Right? Yeah. But if you have really focus and concentration, the results that you achieve are going to be really, really huge. I don't know how many of us there are, probably many of us there in my last session, and we talked about how Google, YouTube, all these things can actually distract us. And apart from that, there is one more distraction that we are going to discuss today. That is provocation. Right? So being not affected to provocation is very, very important, because if you get disturbed, because if you get angry during provocations, you know what, actually there happened one story, not story, it happened, it is a real story. So in Mumbai there is a family, a husband, a wife, and a very small child, very, very small child, probably he is not even walking, 3-4 months child. Okay. And suddenly the child drank milk from mother's breast and died. It died, just died. They immediately rushed to the hospital. When they rushed to the hospital, the doctor examined everything, and then he understood that that baby got poisoned. And he started asking the mother, and the mother is like crying, lot of hue and cry. And then doctor asked, "What happened? I mean, did you feed anything that is not supposed to be?" Then she said, "No, he just been breastfed, and nothing else he's taking, and we haven't given anything other than the breastfeed." Then the doctor started asking. When he started asking a few questions, it came to a point where the wife said that me and my husband fought. And the doctor asked, "Did you feed at that time?" She said, "Yes." So if you understand, anger is not a small thing. It actually poisons your body. And depending on the level of anger, the poison stays for 8 hours in your body. That's why, when there happen in very heated arguments or heated discussions in our ISKCON society, what we usually do is immediately we chant Hare Krishna or we do some kirtan. That pacifies your mind a lot. So that is the advantage of you have of the Sankirtan or Kirtan moment, right? So it is very, very important to keep steady and stable, not being affected, not being aggravated, not being angry and distracted for provocations. So focus is very, very important to reach goalpost. So any one of us who want to reach goalpost, it is very, very important to be tolerant and not being angry. Okay. So this is about why we need to be tolerant. Now how many of us know this guy? Who is this guy? Zidane. Anyone who plays football actually can, oh, I don't have a connection, internet connection. So yeah, probably that's happening. So we'll go to the next. Sorry. Sure, Prabhu. Should I give you the link? Yeah. Prabhuji, how do I pass it, Prabhuji? Oh, okay. You can search with headbutt Zidane. We'll come to this way. I mean, we'll see this video, but we can go and discuss another example of what happens if you're being intolerant. Okay. Now, this is the story of Lord Indra. 3 minutes. You can go to 1.5 minutes. If it's up, you can project it, Prabhuji. So, just to give you an idea of who is Zidane and what, he is a very great football player. From which country? France. Very, very good, great football player. He worked really hard, really hard. He was a person who used to spend 16, 17 hours just playing, playing, playing. And despite of that, he had gotten, by God's grace, he has gotten good physique and then good stamina, and no one could actually beat him. Do we know that he's like 1 out of 17 he used to lose? That's his ratio. 1 match out of 17. And any match he's there in, the opponent team really used to get tremors. That's the kind of guy he is. And there happened a situation where he was top high. Pride has reached to his head a lot, right? Every match, if Zidane is there, it's sure that they're gonna win. It is something like that, right? Yeah. Yeah, you can connect it, Prabhuji. Yeah. Does the volume also come there, or how it is? Okay. So, Zidane and success are synonymous for France. Little before, Prabhuji. Can you go little backward? Maybe, yeah. There, yes. Yes. You can click on that arrow. What will happen? Sorry? Yeah. So it is not just you'll be out of the match. I mean, if depending on the intensity, you will be even kicked out of the match. And if it is further intense, you will never play World Cup. So he was given a red card, which means he's out of the World Cup. So what has happened? His entire life got ruined. Can there be any other better dream than playing a World Cup for a person like Zidane? No. It's like his life collapsed. So, Prabhuji, you can connect mine. So he was given, after this, if you see it, you will see a red card given by that referee to Zidane, and then his life got collapsed completely after that. He could not play. After that, of course, he played the roles of a coach and all, but after that, it's like his dream is completely collapsed, right? And then we will look at another small story of Lord Indra. Usually when we say pride, in demigods, Indra comes to my mind, because he is very proud of the things that he had, because he's king. He is Lord of Heaven, right? He takes care of all the, what do you call, logistics, supply chain management, financial departments. All the departments in heaven are taken care by Indra, who actually, I mean, other demigods, of course, help him. Just because of his power and, the kind of position that he is in, he is very proud. So this is a situation where he was actually enjoying all the heavenly luxuries. And then in heaven, it's always said that, right, you do punya, then you go to heaven, where you will enjoy different kinds of drinks, and there'll be dances, all these things, right? So he was enjoying that intoxicated moments. That's when Brihaspati came. Who is Brihaspati? Devata's guru, right? So Brihaspati came. When Brihaspati came, he was so intoxicated that he could not even realize that his guru has come. Brihaspati is a spiritual master of Devatas. Right? We have spiritual masters in ISKCON society like that. For Devatas, Brihaspati is a spiritual master. Now, Brihaspati is very unhappy. He was kind of not satisfied with the way that Indra has been behaving. And in fact, Indra did not even look at him. Right? Indra even did not look at Brihaspati. So what did Brihaspati said? Brihaspati left. And at that time, Sachi tried to tell. Who is Sachi? Indra's wife. Indra's wife, Sachi, tried to tell him that, Brihaspati came. And she tells him that Brihaspati came and he left. Then he has got an situation. Right? He said, Ayyo, Brihaspati came. He's every, demigod comes to and, does dandavat to him. And he came and left. Now, not only in Kali Yuga, not only in our societies, even in those days, even in heavenly planets, the bad news runs very fast. It spreads very fast. It is not only here. So if when there happened, when the achievement happened, that doesn't spread so well. Ukraine war, everyone, no sleep. क्या हो गया? क्या हुआ Ukraine में? Right? Now that those cine actors got divorced. No, you will not get sleep to hear about those. Many people were like, even in our office, that has become a topic. What was the reason? What was the reason? Why, what's that name of that guy? Why Kattappa killed Bahubali? Right? You don't sleep. Many of us might have lost sleeps till the second part of Bahubali has come, right? The moment we came to know the reason why Kattappa killed Bahubali, that day you could sleep. So bad news spreads faster than good news and achievements, right? Even in Swargaloka, the bad news spread like anything. It went even to Brahma also. Now, when someone offends spiritual master, he had to face a lot of situations, right? Now, this bad news has gone to a place where even Daityas came to know about it. Daityas means Rakshasas. They also came to know. And who is Guru of Rakshasas? Sukracharya. Now, Sukracharya came to know. Now, Sukracharya doesn't leave this opportunity. Right? Devatas are always on the upper hand because they were serving the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, Krishna. So they were always, anyone who serves Krishna for that matter will be an upper hand. When Krishna starts giving, you cannot hold with your hands. That's how Krishna gives. Right? So Devatas were on the upper hand because they were serving the Supreme Lord, Lord's feet of Supreme Lord. And Daityas, being always thinking themselves of being independent of Krishna, they were suffering. Now Sukracharya is their guru. Now Sukracharya is spiritual master of Daityas. Now, what should be the duty of a spiritual master? He should guide the disciples in right direction. But Sukracharya, being person with a perverted mind, his mind always thinks to put Rakshasa in trouble only. Now he doesn't want to leave this opportunity. In those days, not on those days, even in these days, when someone offends Brahmanas or spiritual masters, that sin cannot be, cleansed. This news has gone to Daityas. Now Sukracharya, what he said? This is the time. Let's all go and attack Swargaloka, Lord Indra. Right? Why he started doing it? This is a very great opportunity because a great Brahmana like Brihaspati, he got offended by Indra. So this is a great opportunity. At this point in time, if you go and attack, Indra is gonna lose the war. That's what he thinks. Now all the Daityas, they go and attack Indra. When Indra got attacked, he runs away from the kingdom. Why he runs away from the kingdom? He could not tolerate. He offended Brihaspati and he had to pay back for that. So he runs. Where did he run? Where usually Devatas run when there comes a problem? Vishnu or Brahma. They first go to Brahma. So first, if you get any problem, first you go to, the Sarpanch or the local leader. If you don't get it resolved, you go to next level. So Brahma would be the first person that they usually go to, right? So they goes to Brahma and Indra requests Brahma, what can I do? What should I do? What can I do so that, I can get my kingdom back? Now Brahma says to Indra, okay, I will tell you one small upayam, something like a benediction so that you can actually get your kingdom back. He tells that, go to Vishwarupa, who is son of Twasta and Archana, they are like husband and wife. And Vishwarupa is son of Twasta and Archana. And Archana is like a Daitya's descendant. So Archana's roots were with Daityas, which means Rakshasas. So Twasta and Archana, they gave birth to Vishwarupa. Vishwarupa, when he goes to, Twasta being a great saint, so Vishwarupa is also a very qualified person. So Brahma tells, you go to Twastva and Archana, take permission from them to engage Vishwarupa as a priest to do Soma Yajna. Clear? So Indra goes and requests Twastva and Archana. They says, okay, you can take our son Vishwarupa for doing the yajnas. Vishwarupa is a three-headed person. The moment when Indra goes to Vishwarupa, with one head he eats, with another head he chants hymns, with another head he talks to Indra. He has gotten three heads. So he's very powerful. So what happens is Indra starts requesting, right? Vishwarupa, here is a problem. I lost my kingdom because I have done a great mistake to my spiritual master. Then what Vishwarupa says is, I have a problem. When I take dakshina, after they do any yajna, right, they take dakshina, and it is very problematic, because when you take dakshin, you can use it in many ways. But unfortunately, this situation, the request has come from Swargaloka, which means they can give lot of dakshin, right? Nowadays Brahmanas, they will be happy to go to big houses to perform yajnas. Why? Bigger the house, bigger the dakshin. They can enjoy a lot, right? But look at the people. Look at the saints' thinking process in those days. Now Indra is king of jungle. Is king of jungle? King of heaven. And then if they go there to Swargaloka, what will happen? He will give dakshin at a very huge amounts. Now when he gives huge amounts, it can trick us, right? It can actually help you go anywhere. It can even help you buy a Hayabusa bike. That's the biggest problem, right? So you might even get intoxicated. But Vishwarupa contemplates on it and he thinks, okay, I have deities to worship. So what I can do is, the dakshin that Indra gives, I can bring it and put the dakshin in the service of Lord, so that I need not undergo that kind of attachments. He thinks, and then agrees. So Indra is very happy. Now Vishwarupa started performing the yajna, right? When he started performing the yajna, now he chanting so many hymns. Now what is the yajna? It is performed for to give Indra's kingdom back from Daityas. Now when he is doing, how many of us understand the mantras? Only one mantra, that Mangalyam Tantunamena, that is the only thing that I understand. Apart from that, do we understand any other mantras? When yajnas are performed, there are so many hymns that are pronounced. In fact, every single hymn that actually brings demigods, but at the end of the day, the entire yajna is for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord. But here, Vishwarupa, he had two origins. I mean, source of his origin is two things. One is from Twasta, and another origin is Archana. As I said, Archana has her roots in Daityas, means Asuras, right? So what Vishwarupa was doing is, when he was chanting, and he was chanting few hymns, and he was doing Soma Yajna. Soma Yajna means it gives nectar, right? And when he was doing this Yajna, part of the hymns that he chanting were for Daityas. See the trick here. So what happened? The nectar that was coming out of it was offered to Daityas, Asuras. Now Indra came to know about it. Now the moment Indra came to know about it, what did he do? He took his what? What did he take? Sorry? No, he doesn't have Vajrayut by then. So he took his own sword. We will understand why he doesn't have Vajrayut by then. So he took his own sword, went and cut how many heads? He cut 3 heads. Whose heads are those 3? Vishwarupa, because only Vishwarupa had 3 heads. So he cut all the 3 heads. Now the problem here is, now after cutting Vishwarupa's heads, then he again got another situation. Right? First situation that he had was, what was the first situation? He insulted Brihaspati by not honoring when he was there, his spiritual master. And the second situation was what? He killed a Brahmana. And why Brahmana killing is a very biggest sin? Namo Brahmane Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaicha. The Supreme Lord wants to give protection to Brahmanas. Now if you kill Brahmana, it is not a small sin, it is very, very abominable sin. Right? He killed Vishwarupa. Now, again, what he does, he goes and he hides himself, because you don't know what's going to happen. Right? Now, in between, what happens is, who is the father of Vishwarupa? Twasta. Twasta comes to know about it, and he starts doing all the hymns now. Why? He kind of gets a lot of revenge, and then now he wants to kill Indra. Now what he does next level tapasya. And when he does next level tapasya, he creates a demon called Vratrasura. Heard of Vratrasura? Bhagavatam 6th canto speaks about it. Vratrasura is very powerful demon. He looks like this. His grey copper-like hair touches sky. He was like 10,000 feet tall. No one can stand before him. But when the mantras were chanted by Tvasva to create this demon, so when he was in Sanskrit, there is a problem. Very minute pronunciation mistake will create a lot of problems. That's why when we do yajnas and homas, we have to employ right people, right brahmanas who knows those hymns properly, right? So what happens is while chanting the hymns, right? This Tvasa, instead of saying Indra should die, he says Indra would kill. He says. So while creating this demon Vratrasura, there is a very small pronunciation mistake that Tvasa does. So while he was creating this Vratrasura, instead of saying Indra should kill Vratrasura kill Indra, he says Indra should kill Vratrasura, or Vratrasura should be killed by Indra, he says. Very small, minute Sanskrit mistake he does. So the hymn goes like Vratrasura should be killed by Indra. That's how it goes. Right, but again, Vratrasura is Vratrasura. So what happens? Indra goes and hides himself. Then he goes to Brahma, local leader, right? And Brahma says, "Things are not in my hands. You have to go to Prime Minister, or the Supreme Personality." Then Indra runs to Vishnu, and then requests him, "Please save me." Right? At that point in time. Now, while Indra was actually pleading to Supreme Lord, who is Supreme Lord? Govinda. He wants to give pleasure to everyone. So he wanted to give pleasure to Indra also. So he wants to take him out of his problems. So he tells, go and ask Dadiji for his bones. Right? So I think this story most of us know. Right? So go and ask Dadiji. Then Indra runs to Dadiji and asks, can you give me your bones? Before even asking Indra, Dadiji understands it. Dadiji senses it. And he says, I know why you come. Do you think someone will give their life for something? Does anyone of us can put our life in risk? Even if you ask a nail, you won't give. Right? But Dadiji, he wanted to serve the Supreme Lord. On top of that, Indra has come on the order of Supreme Lord. So he says, take my life. And he sits in meditation and then leaves his body. After leaving his body, he goes to Vishnu Lok, right? And Indra takes Dadiji's bones and then creates Vajrayudh, which can actually as powerful as it can create thunderbolts. That's very powerful, right? That's how he gets that. Now he has gotten Vajrayudh. So while he was trying to kill Vishwarup, that was not Vajrayudh, because he didn't have Vajrayudh by then. After Dadiji's, sacrifice, he gets this Vajrayudh and then he kills Vratrasura. But if you look at the entire story, how many times Indra got provoked? 2 times. It's a very risky thing. So because of this provocation, he not being able to tolerate, he had to undergo so many problems. First he ran to Brahma, then he ran to Vishnu, and in the previous scenario, he even ran to Brahma. It's a very, he was literally on the verge. He lost his kingdom literally. So being intolerant in case of provocation is very, very risky. Right? And this is another story, Jadabharata. I'll quickly go through it. I think we are reaching time. So Jadabharata is a straight example of being tolerant. Jadabharata? I think most of us know. It's a very famous story. I'll cut the story very short. So what happens with Jadabharata is, in his first life, in his previous life, he was Bharata Maharaj. And next life, when he was Bharata Maharaj, he actually could not tolerate so many, he was a king. King means lot of appliances, means Rajoguna. You will have lot of, distractions. And he could not tolerate those distractions. And he gets attached to a deer, because of which he had to take another birth. Despite of he being performing Vanaprastha, he had to take another birth as deer. So first Bharata, he could not tolerate so many distractions, and then while dying, he actually assumes, had lot of affection to a deer in that Vanaprastha stage. So he takes birth of a deer, and during deer, he got a lot of intelligence, because by the grace of Supreme Lord, he gets so much intelligence. He could actually remember his previous king's birth. This time he's very careful. He doesn't even eat wet grass. He used to eat dry grass. The deer used to literally eat dry grass because dry grass is like a kind of penance. We do the Ekadashi Vrat, right? So it's like eating very dry things, right? So this deer eats only dry grass. And after that, third birth was Jadavarta. And Jadavarta, he is very well built. I will just give you one example on how he being very tolerant. He has tolerated Sitoshna, Shukadukka, Manapamana. Shitoshna means heat and cold. He was put as a scarecrow by his brothers. In the farm fields, he was put as a scarecrow. Scarecrow means you have to be there 24/7 in the farm itself so that all the pigs and hogs doesn't eat that farmlands. Scarecrow, every one of us know, right? Dishti Bomma. He was put like a scarecrow. So he used to bear Sitoshna, cold, hot, everything he used to bear. Then he bear even Manapmana, even before to that Sukha Dukkha. He even bore Sukha Dukkha. How did he bear Sukha and Dukkha? So he was actually taken by dacoits. He was about to be, his head was about to be, he was about to be beheaded. Right? So before doing any beheading, we might have seen so many people like movies like Bhairav Dwepa and all, where they say Kavacha, Kavacha, and then dress the man with lot of nice, perfumes, and then they make him wear silken clothes, and they feed him like anything, all Panchabhaksha Paramannas, everything. And then when he was eating, he was given comfort, Shukha. But after that, what happened? Immediately he was brought into a big stone where he was about to be beheaded. That is Dukkha. Right? So Bharata underwent Sukha Dukkha, Sitoshna, and then finally Manapmana. Mana means Mana, Apamana. Mana means respects. Apamana means disrespect. So after all these things, when he was carrying the palanquin of a king, right? He was one of the 4 people to carry the palanquin. And then he was so intelligent. Jadavarta means he was not even talking to anyone, as very innocent and illiterate person. So when he was doing that, he's one of the 4 people to carry the palanquin of the king. And when he was walking, he saw ants. Then he played a zigzag. He he did a zigzag like a dancing, and the thing in the palanquin got trembled a little bit. Then he says, Jadavarta was very well built. And he was carrying this palanquin only for few kilometers, not too far. So this king actually makes fun of him. What does he do? He says, you are very thin. You have been carrying me from so far, and you are the only one carrying me. What is this called? He's doing apamana, sarcasm, right? Jadavarta was very well built, but what did the king say? You're so thin, and he said, you have been carrying me from last 100 kilometers. You have been carrying me from Delhi to Hyderabad, and on top of that, he said that you're the only one. Was he the only one? No, there are 4 people carrying, and he's one of the persons. He made so many apamans, but after that, he speaks. Jadavarta starts. That's when Jadavarta starts speaking to King Rahugana. Right? Rahugana is the king. The moment Jadavarta speaks, the king understands this is not an ordinary guy. And then he jumps out of the palanquin. Literally, he jumps out of the palanquin and, does Dandavat Pranam to Jadavarta. And then he says, I'm not worried about Yamaraj. I'm not worried about, going to hell to rot there, being fried. But the apaman that I did to you, I'm very scared of it. And then he does Dandavat, he asks for forgiveness, then he asks so many things to Jadavarta. And Jadavarta at that time got man, right? First he got disrespect and then got he respect. So he underwent Sitoshna, Shukadukka, Manapman. So all the while if you look at it, Jadavarta was very tolerant. And after that, he actually got liberation. Right? So if you look at Jadavarta's story, he was very tolerant. And probably I'll take one more example of being, the benedictions of the tolerance. Anyone knows who is she? Sindhu Tai. How many of us know? I think many of us know her story, right? At the age of we can't even imagine her age when she got married. Probably it's around 10 years. She gets married around 10 years and she has been very disrespected by her in-laws and even by her husband, because he listens outside few, very nasty talks about her. He comes back and beats her, and he very ill treats her. The entire family ill treats her, and finally they send her out of the house. Right? They really send her out of the house. When they send her out of the house, she had to really live in a goshala. Right? She had to live in a cattle house. Right? Now, she even gives birth to a baby in there. And she can't, we can't even imagine such kind of situations. Now we have so many hospitals, right? Many sophisticated hospitals. There also they do C-section now. That's something, where they don't go for natural birth. So that a kind of sophisticated hospitals we have. And she underwent such a kind of very pathetic situation and gives birth to a baby, girl baby, right? And she struggles a lot, and after that she she was really tolerant. Then she decides no woman in this country should face such kind of situation. So after that, what she did, she went out of her way, she did lot of hard work, she set up so many ashrams where any orphan can actually go there and live happily. And she got, what is that award she got, Bharata, sorry, she got Padma Bhushan, or I think some very great award. This, President Kovind was actually giving her that, awarding her that. And in fact, our Guru Maharaj, right, His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj also went and spoke to her, and he was like in tears when he was listening to her story. And she was so tolerant. When her husband, during his last stages, came back to her asking for a shelter, what did she say? She said, "Come." She didn't say, that day you bet me, that's what we do, right? That so and so day, 31st December, when we were enjoying, you did not even give me a lift. Why should I give you my shelter now? Right? But what did Sindhutai did? She gave shelter to her husband, who actually tortured her. Right? And, the great, ISKCON sannyasi went and spoke to her. It's very difficult to get time of Radhana Swami Maharaj. I don't know how many of you know. It's very, very difficult to get time of ISKCON sannyasis. And he himself went and met Sindhutai to understand her story. Such a great, inspirational story it was. Right? So, what is it that we can take home from this story and Jadavartha story? You need to be very tolerant, and time will give the answer. You need to be very, very tolerant in provoking situations. So, in the interest of time, probably we will not take any more examples. Probably we'll go forward and then try to understand how to be tolerant. Right? So till now, what did we understand from Indra's story, and what did we understand from Jadavartha's story? You should not be intolerant during provocations. But from what did we understand from Sindhutai and Jadavartha's story? You need to be very, very tolerant. You should be tolerant for Shitoshna, Sukadukka, and Manapman. Right? Now, how to practice tolerance? Is it so easy? Can I buy 2 cases of tolerance from Jagdish Market? No. Right? How to get tolerance? And nowadays, tolerance is very difficult, because nowadays young children were grown up hearing only yes. They don't hear a no. Right? It is very, you say no, that's it, gone case. One example, when I was a small kid, 7 years old, I wanted a shock absorber bike. Those days, shock absorber bike is very difficult to get. Shock absorber bike, you guys understand? Like, you have two-wheeler, right? There is shock absorption. When you put front brake, it actually absorbs the shock and gives you a nice cushion. Those days, there were shock absorber cycles were there. So I asked my mother, can you buy me a shock absorber cycle? So what did she do? I can't, because it's so costly. Those days it was like 2,200. 2,200 in those days is like probably 40,000, 50,000 now, right? I'm talking about probably 1990, right? So I immediately I became so aggravated, and then asked, how much did you spend till now to take care of me? I said. My mother got shocked, right? And then she has become very tolerant, and then what she did is she called her brother and then got me shock absorber cycle the next day. So now in this situation, now what happened was, like, after when I got a nice job, my mother had some back problem, right? And I think I was living in Hyderabad, and my parents live in coastal Andhra. The moment I heard it, I ran. And I catched a general train. I didn't even have reservation. I caught a general train. I went to Coastal Andhra, and then I got my mother operated. So I could not stop my tears then. So why I had to undergo so much of pain? It is just my mother. I can go slowly and then do whatever she needs. When I went, I could see light in her eyes that my son has come. I'm in safe hands now. So what will happen is, that day she was so tolerant when I asked shock absorber cycle, and I provoked her saying, how much did you spend till now to take care of me? Tell me, I'll pay it back. I was 7 years old. I was not earning for myself, and I said, tell me, I will pay you back whatever you paid me till now, I said. But she was very tolerant to that provoking statement. So what did it result in? It resulted in a loving son, right? So it is very, very important to be tolerant like a mother, to be tolerant like a tree, to be tolerant like Sindhutai, to be tolerant like Jadabharata. Now, how to be tolerant now? So to be tolerant, you know, first thing is so we get disturbed. Sometimes we get disturbed, sometimes we get irritated, and sometimes we really get, it aggravates us. So we get intolerant only when we have pride. So winds, when they hit our head, that's when the pride comes. The moment pride comes, pride results in aham, right? I am doing it, I am the doer. Pride results in anger. When things are not done, you get anger, right? So first thing that we have to take is we have to take out pride. And second thing is chanting and following regulative principles. Why chanting? Chanting and following regulative principles, what they do is they awaken soul and they gives determination. We talked about determination and focus. Focus is very, very important. We lose focus, the results will get affected. So chanting gives determination, awakens souls, and reduces material desires, right? So ears are the most powerful senses. So Prabhupada talks about one story always. So Prabhupada was, when, there were two people living in opposite houses, right? Both of us, one person was sleeping, and another person, he is awake, and then he was reading something. He can actually see the other person sleeping. One thief entered into the house, the other person's house. He was about to kill him and snatch the wallet. Now what this guy did? Did this guy got down the stairs and went to his house and then stabbed him to get out? No, he said, "Hey, John, get up, there is thief." He immediately got up, and then the thief ran away. So the very alert senses are ears, right? So when we chant, right, many material sound brings material alertness. Material sound alerts the man, whereas spiritual sound alerts the soul, right? So ears are very powerful senses. And another example is Dhruva Maharaj, right? What did Dhruva Maharaj did? Dhruva Maharaj did, every one of us knows Dhruva Maharaj's story, right? So Dhruva Maharaj, he did perform the chanting, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He used to do chant this. He chanted for 6 months when he was 5 years old. Look at his determination. With this, he got Vishnu. But after getting Vishnu, he did not ask for all those previous desires that he had. After chanting these hymns for 6 months, the desire that he had was he wanted to get a kingdom better than his great grandson Brahma. But that determination and that desire went off after chanting Supreme Lord's for 6 months, right? Then he said, when I asked for a broken glass, you gave me a diamond. Your darshan, your vision, seeing Supreme Lord is like diamond, where the kingdom that he wanted was like a broken glass. He says to Supreme Lord, when I wanted a broken glass, you gave me diamond. And all his material desires goes off, right? So when we do spiritual hymns chanting, our material desires goes off. So it is very important to chant, right? And anyone who is seriously chanting will not have desires. For sure, his material. So we might see it as a process of elevation. Over time, those material desires goes off, and then spiritual desires comes in. Same thing happened with Prahlad Maharaj. What happened with Prahlad Maharaj? When Lord Narasimha came after killing Hiranyakasipu, Lord Narasimha says, "You have pacified me. You have made me happy. Tell me, what do you want?" What did Prahlad say? "I need kingdom." Is that what Prahlad said? What did he say? He got angry. Prahlad gets angry when Lord Narasimha says, "What do you need?" Prahlad says, "Am I a businessman? Did I chant for your name to get something back?" This is what Prahlad says. Then Lord Narasimha says, "Hey, don't get angry. You chanted my name, so I want to give something." Even then Prahlad says, "I don't need anything. Your darshan itself is the great benediction." We know, right? Recently, what was that? Shivaratri happened. We know the Gopishwar story. Even Lord Shiva was waiting to take darshan of Supreme Lord. He goes, he wanted to see Rasalila dance. And the Gopis doesn't allow him. So he was put outside the gate. And then he wears Gopi's dress. That's how he becomes Gopishwar. Even Lord Shiva wanted to take darshan of Supreme Lord. Right? Okay. Yeah, and so finally, why do we want to do all these things? To realize that we are the spirit soul. And one of the biggest thing that anyone can actually practice is when we are doing chanting, along with that, if we can take some services. Why do we have to take services? There are like different processes, right? When we worship the Lord, when we, do perform puja, there are different things that we follow, like, taking achaman, wearing tilak, kesavai swaha, narayana swaha, madhavai swaha, and then we do take care of the deities, dress the deities well. We have Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra deities at my home, right? And we dress them very nicely. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? Anyone who serves something will develop attachment and affection towards it. That's why it is very important to do services to devotees and Supreme Lord, so that we get attachment to that. So we can actually re-establish our eternal servitor position with the Supreme Lord. So it is very, very important to chant and do spiritual services, because spiritual sound awakens the soul. At the same time, when we take some spiritual services, that builds lot of attachment to spiritual objects, right? So I think with this I'll end the session here. If you have any questions, probably we can discuss one or two questions. I think I have taken more than 50 minutes, so maybe probably one or two questions we'll take, because it's Prashadam time.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, as you said about Lord Indra,
I think is that on? Okay.
Prabhu, as you said about Lord Indra,
Yeah.
Lord Indra is a lord,
Yes.
lord of the gods. So,
Correct.
as he's a lord, how he gets intoxicated?
Yeah. So very good question. Yeah, I think even I had this question some time back. So Lord Indra, despite of he being king of heaven, where is he? He is in heaven, and Lord Indra's is also a position. It's like a post, and someone else can actually replace it, and he is in heaven, right? Now he got intoxicated because he's pride personified. And we might get a question that if he's pride personified, why did he get to that post? He got to that post because of, anyone who goes to heavenly planets, they are bound to come back. Forget about Lord Indra. Lord Shiva even, had to wait for Supreme Lord's darshan. So if you look at Lord Indra, he may be a devotee of Supreme Lord, but he is not at a stage where he's, okay, let me put this way. He's not as qualified as the gopis. Gopis were intoxicated by Krishna Prema, whereas people in the heavenly planets, they are intoxicated by material opulences and material luxuries. That is what makes them intoxicated, right? So, but one good thing about Indra is, even Indra is not what is it called? He's not envious of devotees. Anyone who performs devotion, he is not envious of it. That is one good thing he had. That's why still he is in that position. So, but still he is in Swargaloka. Swargaloka is also part of the, kind of a place where you can easily get intoxicated. So, if you look at pride, part of the reason why people get pride is their opulences. If you listen to Kunti Maharani prayers, Kunti Maharani, despite of undergoing so many troubles, she prays Krishna when he was leaving to Dwaraka. She says, "Give me more and more troubles." Do you ask that? If I have a desire car, a Swift Desire car, I'll ask for a Tata Safari. The moment I get Tata Safari, I'll ask for a BMW. But what did Kunti say? Give me more and more troubles. Every time Kunti was getting, she was asking for Krishna's trouble. That means she wanted to remember Krishna. Right? But after that, if you get more appearances, it is Aishwarya. Right? So what happens is you tend to develop more and more pride. There are two things with which you cannot reach Krishna. What are the two things? Pride and envy. No one can, pride is something that we can, any rasa we can put it in Krishna's service, but pride and envy cannot be put in Krishna's service. Envy and pride, if you have, you cannot go to Goloka. So our whole process of bhakti is to inculcate Krishna prema. So if you go to Nishtha, that's where you can actually think of that, you have kind of left your pride to a certain extent. right? Even with Nishta also you can come back, right? So Indra is like pride personified. That's why, he got intoxicated. And again, if you look at Krishna's plans, he always plans. Just because Indra is Krishna's devotee, he always, why Krishna gave him the kind of mentality where he is intoxicated and ignores Brahaspati? Because Krishna wants him to understand his situation and correct himself. That is the mercy that came from Krishna to him. So that's how we should look at it. Yeah? Did I answer your question? Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I think if we don't have any questions, we can probably end it.
Any other questions?
Hare Krishna. So, no one has any question? Really? Or you have understood how to tolerate? So, it was a very nice session, and I was hearing the examples which Prabhuji was quoting. It was so amazing to hear. So, we would like to thank Prabhuji for such a wonderful session. The amount of time he gave for the session, more than that, he traveled for the session. So, we should, from our core of our heart, we should thank him by once chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Prabhu has also come along with his family, Mataji and daughter. So we are very grateful that they have set such an example of practicing spiritual life, that we should also come to that level. So we can see them practicing and we can get confidence that it is possible. Otherwise, there are so many people outside world. They are brand ambassadors of the slogan "Khao Piyo Maza Karo." So but we can see, by seeing such an example who is selflessly doing something for the society. So also we are thankful to the participants who have come here. We'd like to welcome those who have come first time for this session. If somebody has come first time, you can stand at your place. Whoever has come first time, you can stand at your place. Kindly stand at your place. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so 12, 13. So we'd like to welcome all of you for this session, and please continue attending this session Saturday. We'd like to welcome them by once chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Please be seated. So we have a special announcement now. As we had discussed previous outing and before last sessions, so we have planned a special outing for those who are participating in IYS meetings. So we call it as Food for Soul Retreat. So we know we are body, but we are not only body, we are spirit, soul. So we have done so much for our body. So it's time now to do something for your soul. And we have a great temple which has come up recently, which is for what? Which is for our body or for soul? Soul, yes. So thousands of crores of money is being spent there so that people can get attracted, come there and see Ramanujacharya and understand about Ramanujacharya. So I remember there is one museum in London, which is famous museum where very great people's idols are kept. You know that? Anybody knows that museum name? Yes, Madam Tussauds. We go there for seeing the famous people's idols kept there. Wax idols, I think. Wax, correct? But none of the saints' idols are there. I don't think so. But we have this special Statue of Liberty, which is for commemorating Ramanujacharya's 1000th anniversary. And this is what is to be shown to people, so that we understand that what Ramanujacharya has done for us. We cannot understand. We just know what Gandhi has done for us, or maybe down the line, maybe 100 years. But if you understand the history, we have been saved from greatest troubles, greatest dangers by these acharyas. So we have a special retreat next weekend. It is 12th and 13th March. The retreat begins on 12th March evening, that is Saturday, to 13th March Sunday. It is a one-day retreat. We will be going from ISKCON temple from here. We will be going by a bus. We will be staying near, very close to Statue of Equality, and having a very nice time there. We will have lot of sessions, interactive sessions in a closed group. We'll have quizzes. We will have dramas. We will have videos. We will have kirtans, and lastly, but most important, prasadam, because without that you cannot live. So prasadam, and it will be a spiritual outing, everything a spiritual experience. So the charges for this is for transportation, accommodation, prasadam, then entry ticket for the visit, everything including is 1000, but we have brought down to 250, so that it is available for everyone, and you take benefit of it. Okay. So yeah, maybe okay. So this is we conduct these yatras, these outings very often, because all of us like to travel. Is there anyone who is not liking traveling? Okay. Each one of us like to travel. Like to spend time with your own close friends, and spend a very good time for your own self. So this is a small video from our Ahobilam Yatra. Ahobilam Yatra we had gone last year. Okay, Mahaprachadar will play it. Yes, bro.
भगवान का Krishna Hare Hare Narasimha Dev Jaya Narasimha Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So this was a small glimpse, just 2 minutes from the yatra of 2 days. So, I request you can just come to the poster. Okay. So we have a desk outside where you can register for this outing. There is a registration link also and the contact number also. This will be shared in the WhatsApp group of IYS official.